This is the number one stop for all things polling and elections in the United States, so make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. Today we're going to be looking at my latest ratings for the Senate map for 2024. For the safe Republican states, we have Utah, Nebraska special election, Wyoming, North Dakota, Tennessee, Mississippi, and West Virginia. These are states that are voting for the Republican by over 15 points, and they already put Republicans at above 45 seats as of right now. We can see that there are a lot of Democrat incumbent held seats up for election more than Republican seats, and Republicans kind of have a strong ground game on this map. You can see this is the 2018 results where Republicans actually won 53 seats in the House. They actually gained seats. If you actually go ahead and look here, we can actually see that we literally have like 2 seats that flipped. I believe the Missouri, Indiana, and North Dakota seats all flipped to Republicans. So that is also pretty interesting to see there. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is the safe Democrat states, which include California, which as of right now, that state's going to be a 22-point victory. The state of Washington is coming in at 17 points for Cantwell this cycle. We also have the state of Hawaii coming in at 25 points for Cantwell. Vermont is going to be a very easy victory for Bernie Sanders. That victory is going to be about a 33-point win. Massachusetts coming in at 26 points, Maryland at 25 points. So for those people who say that race is going to be competitive, I seriously doubt that is actually going to be the case. Rhode Island is another state that's going to be in the safe column, as well as Connecticut and Delaware. New Jersey is the only one that is not in this column. We also see the state of New York coming in at 18 points for the Democrat senator there. We also have Minnesota and Maine at large here. Now, Maine at large is not a Democrat-held seat, is an independent Angus King who's running for re-election, who's been ahead in polling data by over 20 points, but he caucuses with the Democrats, so essentially we count him as a Democrat seat. And looking at his seat, we actually see that he's been a pretty big, overperformer. I mean, he won by 19 in 2018. He managed to win by 22 points back in 2012. So he's been doing pretty well in that seat, and this will be the third time he runs for a re-election there, or at least an election. So we'll see how he performs. And in Minnesota right now, we currently have Amy Klobuchar winning by 15.7%. Definitely one of the closer races she's had in her career, but still above the 15-point category. You can see that she's been a big outperformer. I mean, she won by 24 points back in the last cycle. She also won in 2012 by 35 points. So that is a humongous difference in terms of, being an electoral juggernaut in the state. And more than likely, she'll probably win by 15 points as of right now. Looking at the likely Republican states, we have Montana, which would be the first flip. Well, technically West Virginia is the first flip, but in terms of a flip that isn't a guaranteed flip, this is the first one. She's been leading in most polling data. Tester barely won in a massive blue wave year, and with Donald Trump on the ticket, I think he's going to be able to help Sheehy cross the finish line. The Nebraska race is about a 13-point victory. Fisher's not the strongest incumbent. I mean, it's Nebraska, so she's going to win, and she's running against an independent candidate. So right now, that is considered to be a 13-point race. Missouri is coming in at a 10-point victory for Josh Hawley. That would definitely be one of his better performances. I mean, he won by, 6 points in 2018, so he did respectably well, and he actually beat the incumbent there. So that is pretty fascinating. Even in a red wave year or a blue wave year, he was able to beat the incumbent. So that is fairly interesting. So I think he's probably going to be able to win that race by about 10 points. Indiana is coming in at about 11 points. The only poll out of there has Banks winning by 10. So that actually makes a lot of sense. And then we have Texas coming in at a fairly decent victory for Cruz. He's winning by about 6.7 percentage points. He actually won by 2.6 back in 2018, and this seat back then for Cruz was like a 16-point victory. So that's roughly what we're looking at as of right now in this seat. So he's going to outperform 2018 100%. The likely Democrat states include New Mexico, which is a pretty decent victory, actually. They're winning by about 10 points there, the Democrat candidate. In Virginia, Hung Cao's probably going to end up losing to Tim Kaine by a decent amount, probably by 11 points right now. And in New Jersey, we have about an 11-point victory there as well. Before you continue the video, I have an important announcement for you all. Ready Go Politics and I are sponsoring SoCal Strategies, a new pollster that is trying to provide the most honest and transparent polling methodology and analysis that anyone, even from the mainstream media, will give you. In the mainstream media, you have a lot of pollsters trying to fake their numbers and fudge the numbers and wait 2 weeks to poll, but we're not going to do that with SoCal Strategies. Me and Ready Go Politics, a YouTuber who's about to hit 200,000 subscribers, we trust SoCal Strategies to have the most accurate, transparent, and honest data that you can get in the election polling atmosphere, period. So guys, these polls are not free and we are the main sponsors for them. We're trying to crowd raise this to kind of prove to everybody that there is a movement behind wanting accurate, honest polling data, and the fact that we could potentially lose this if we end up being inaccurate, or at least if SoCal ends up being inaccurate. So guys, make sure to go ahead and donate whatever you possibly can, even if it's about $1, $2, or $5. Anything helps, guys. Anything would be greatly appreciated for the Democrat candidate. And looking at the final states, yes, Florida is in the lean Republican column. According to the model, Scott is only going to win by 3.2%. Clearly, he's had very competitive races his whole career. So even because of the fact that the Florida registrations have gotten a lot better for Republicans, he probably does still win the race, but he's not going to win it by over, even 10 points in my opinion. Unless Trump wins the state by like 15, then you may see him win it by 10. But right now, Donald Trump's actually winning the state by about 6.8% in my forecast. So him winning by 3 actually doesn't really make, it does make a lot of sense when you actually take that into consideration. Ohio, Donald Trump is up in the state by 11 points. And right now, Bernie Moreno is basically forecasted to win the Senate race by 1.2%. It's a narrow race. It could go either way, but that is kind of what we're looking at right now in this seat here. And now for the rest of the states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are all lean Democrat seats. Wisconsin is a 4.4 percentage point victory for Tammy Baldwin. In Michigan, we have a 4.5 point victory there. And in Pennsylvania, we have a 4.9 percentage point victory. So all the at least the Wisconsin and Pennsylvania incumbents are going to hold on. Now, Michigan's race is pretty interesting. And Hovde did have really good turnout in the last primary. He actually outvoted Baldwin, funny enough, in her own primary. So that is fairly interesting in the state of Wisconsin. That may poise, something to happen there. Now, if independents break for her, then this 4-point victory that I have is not actually that unrealistic. Neither is the Pennsylvania victory either, because Bob Casey's a pretty strong Democrat candidate. Now, looking at the state of Nevada, that is going to be in the lean column. Sam Brown is forecasted to lose by 1.4%. Trump is currently winning Nevada, I believe, by 1.3 or 1.8, something like that, within the 1 to 2 point range. And the final seat is Kari Lake, who is now projected to lose by 0.2% in this forecast to Ruben Gallego. The polling has shown Gallego up, but again, polling during presidential years for Senate races tend to be very off because they don't account for down ballot effects called coattails, which the presidential candidate will usually help either candidate in some states kind of get a higher vote share, for example. So like if this was a midterm, Kari Lake would probably be losing the seat by about 3 to 4 points, more than likely, probably even more than that actually. She'd probably lose it by 6 or 7. But because of the fact this is a presidential year, Trump is able to help some Republicans make it across the finish line. But even when the Democrats win Arizona, Nevada, and the Rust Belt in the Senate map, Republicans are still at 52 seats. So any forecaster telling you that, the Democrats are going to end up winning the Senate, they're full of it, because at that point Ohio would have to go blue, so would Montana, and Florida would have to go blue on the Senate level, and there's no chance of the Florida seat going blue at this point in time, in my opinion. And Montana seat is looking really iffy too. I think at best Democrats could do is get 49 seats, just in case Moreno falls short in Ohio, which I don't even know if that's going to happen either. We'll see, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. And so if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.